Okay, we're going to pivot now to City Hall. Mayor John Tory is making a housing announcement. Let's listen in.
But also, there's been a lot of market housing built. So if you look at what's been done in the last decade, 400,000 homes have been approved by the City Council during that period of time, representing 2 times the number that have actually been built. And so that presents an interesting question of accountability, which really isn't directed at the city. That one might be directed elsewhere. But the bottom line is, regardless of all that, more needs to be done. We know that. We as a city government need to take a more aggressive approach to addressing the acute affordability and housing crises facing our city, and of course we have to do it in partnership with the other governments. But there are things we have to do here in order to move forward more aggressively. The Housing Action Plan begins the process of updating the city's regulations so that we can meet or exceed the target of building 285,000 homes over the next decade that are set out in some of the recent provincial initiatives. This plan represents all aspects of the housing spectrum, from student housing to affordable housing to housing targets for the Portlands and for the waterfront. Importantly, this plan will bring the city into the 21st century by removing the exclusionary zoning that has focused growth in just a few areas of the city and prevented Torontonians from having a variety of housing choices. And I spoke extensively about this during the election campaign, that we simply had to broaden out the range of housing options that were available to people who wanted to make their lives here, people who were young and older, people who wanted to grow up in the same neighborhood, for example, that they wanted to live in the same neighborhood they'd grown up in, or seniors who want to stay in the same neighborhood in which they've spent most of their lives. And that is why, at our first meeting and as the first item of business of the new City Council, I'm asking Council colleagues to direct the City Manager to develop this 2023 Housing Action Plan for the period between 2022 and 2026, which is our term in office, and to bring the updated plan back in a very short time, namely before the winter's over. The City Manager would report to the Executive Committee no later than March on how this plan will be actioned, with clear timelines for Council approval, implementation, and the potential units that will be created. Separate from this plan, but also in the same report, I'm asking Council colleagues to approve the multi-tenant housing bylaw, which was deferred earlier this year. By approving regulations for multi-tenant housing, we can ensure that those who already live in these types of units, often our lowest income residents, can be protected, can be kept safe, and that we can regulate activity already taking place across the city, which is presently unregulated and is the source of many legitimate complaints to members of council and to the public service through 3-on-1 and otherwise. The source of many legitimate complaints that will be addressed by regulating and by legalizing these forms of accommodation. This measure that will be brought to the City Council next week through this report has been through the full public consultation and staff reporting process, and was in fact deferred at the last meeting of the previous Council. And so it is ready to come forward directly to Council for debate and for a vote, and this report will achieve that. This housing plan is aggressive. The people gave me a mandate because I expressly said during the election campaign we were going to take bolder action to move things forward, to speed up approvals, to put forward a broader range of housing options to Torontonians. I think people want us to take action. In fact, I know it because they told me so, and their votes told me so as well, because I explicitly said this was what I would do if I was re-elected, and I hope that the members of council share that determination. I have good reason to believe that many of them do. We have to move quickly to change city policies and advance new programs and speed up the approval process, all things that will help to create new housing faster. We have to demonstrate a strong commitment as a council, not just the mayor, to deliver the reforms needed to increase new housing and to prioritize the supply of affordable and market rental housing that our residents and newcomers desperately need. Over the last several decades, it is absolutely a fact, you can check it out, that many neighbourhoods in the city have lost population, while others have been created from vacant land. We have a duty to current and future residents to distribute growth more equitably and to ensure that we create walkable and complete neighbourhoods. We simply cannot maintain a sustainable and growing city which offers a housing choice consisting of either a single-family home or a 50-story tower. Those cannot be the only alternatives that are in front of people who want to live in the city. And there are lots of people who are in various modest incomes who want to live in the city. There are lots of newcomers who, when they talk about coming to Canada, they want to come to Toronto. Tens of thousands of them are coming. And we welcome that. It's been a blessing that this city's had over time, but they need a place to live. And we will continue to have lots of single-family homes and lots of 50-story towers in a big and growing city, but we need lots of options in between. I am confident that adding ownership, market rental, and affordable rental housing needed to address the lack of housing supply will complement and enhance existing communities. Done properly and sensitively, we have seen that we can create a Toronto for all and enhance our neighbourhoods at one and the same time. That is why I campaigned on a 5-point housing plan, and many of its elements are beginning to be addressed through this report. You'll recall a key part of that plan was the creation of the Planning and Development Division, which is well underway right now. That work has been underway even through the election campaign. This will hurry up housing, it will cut red tape, and it will speed up approval times. And those are all things we recognize the city government must do. It will streamline the process so as to get more housing built faster, but without sacrificing the kind of quality that Torontonians expect from us. So my focus is going to be throughout this term, in this area and every other one, getting things done for people. That is my job. That is what people sent me to City Hall to do, and that is what I'm going to focus on, and that includes what people want us to do, which is to build housing, build more kinds of housing, or encourage them to happen.
Okay, Mayor John Tory live at City Hall announcing his 2023 Housing Action Plan.